Good morning. Well, today I'm going to talk about the urban mixed-use development, some experience we have and share with you in China. And in a commercial architecture world, and I assume you agree with me, mixed-use is probably the most complicated project types, just because the challenging with the limited site and also all the complexity of the program and the urban settings. It's pretty much you build a mini city within a big city. And of course, we want to make this mini city much more people-friendly. So if I look at what is the successful mixed-use development in China and anywhere in the world, probably I would say is how to create a memorable experience. And how to create a memorable experience, I highlighted into two areas. So one is called iconic, and another one is called placemaking. Iconic, like Mr. Zhang in the Greenland, he mentioned about try to make some generations of high-rise development. In the first generation, second generation, pretty much more singular program, office or hotel. So those kind of projects in any city is more focused on iconic expression. And, but even at today's mixed-use development, because again, the high FAR, a limited site, we have to have tall buildings there. And for tall buildings, it is, whether you like or not, it's going to be there for everybody to see and be seen. So how to create iconic, it is represent also the city scale for the city, and especially in China, and some of you work in China, and you know that all the government in every city, they are expecting the iconic expression of this type of project. Because just like developers are competing for the market, the cities are competing for their status in China and want to make sure they are in certain leading role in the economic development. So the iconic expression also symbolized the economic growth of the city. So it's important for any developers when they look at the urban mixed use, you have to be considered the iconic expression. And as a result, definitely iconic expression always going to have a long-term business value for the developer and the investors, just because the landmark effect and the branding effect for the city and the government. But as today's urban mixed-use development, as an investor and a developer, iconic is not enough. Just like Mr. Zhang said in his presentation, you have to look at economic return and also the other factors for today's market. So placemaking, we summarize called placemaking. It is more related to the pedestrian level, how to make it people-oriented and exciting space. And really it's a retail-driven placemaking place. Some of the key areas when we design, we like to consider, it got to be in a pedestrian level because it's about people as users, how to experience it. So you have to be in a pedestrian level. You got to have a right amenities combination in a complex. And also, it's very critical in China how to able to tie your modern facility with traditional Chinese culture and customers. So this is a very important part in our design. And of course, how to create a convenience and a safe environment for the users there. And open space is always a key to meet the community and the business needs. And again, when we talk about mixed use, it's not just about making money, also about how to create a space that people enjoy, come back and back again. So that open space, not only just as a feature, but also it's going to be a driver for a placemaking. And part of that is going to be sustainable design. In order to make both work, iconic and placemaking, it is critical how the developers, investors engage with the qualified architects and consultants in a very early stage. And we strongly encourage that from our experience before. And we want to share some of that with you today. In China, a lot of times the developers, because they try to get the land, So they try to engage with, for many reasons, they engage with the local design team to help them to put all these programs together and present to the city. And quite often, the clients come to us because, for many reasons, they just cannot get the city excited. And so they have, just time is essential, this stage in China, so they have to looking for more qualified design architects to help them to get approval from the city, and even starting from the early land acquisition stage. Until you have a very iconic and also placemaking strategy there, if city doesn't interest in that, it's difficult for you to win in the land, because they always have a lot of developers competing for that land. And so involved with the right international design architect in the early stage, really helping the developers in terms of selecting the right team together in the first step. Because again, the complexity of the urban design mixed-use project really requires more than just architect. For example, the marketing expert, the traffic consultant, all this has been engaged in the very early stage, look at it very practically, but also with a vision. So that early strategy and urban planning really help the client understanding what they really want and what can they provide for this site, so they can go back to the table negotiating and with the government. So many times we're able to help the client negotiating that, whether it's the FAR or some of the road within the site, how we're able to either reroute or even eliminate some of the inside traffic situation. So this kind of, until you have a vision, you have a proper design ideas, you cannot convince the city until you show them. Again, the early partnership really help to enhance the design, because normally when we enter the project, we like to present, number one, listen to the client, work with them closely, and shred. We always look at the different options, make sure we look at carefully with a bigger global perspectives. The beauty of the international architects, normally they bring more international similar type experience, which allow them to look at more in the global picture. And whether from the building to the urban design to the cultural context and to the technology and the system design. So all this integrate together. And then we also try to tie how the retail, for example, the retail merchandising, how the global retail merchandising, how they apply to the local specific market. So this kind of strategy and design and experience really help client understand exactly what they want. And also, because we provide multiple options, we work with the client and also engage with the client directly, work with the city government. So really build up the confidence for the government, and also because the vision, because the iconic and the placemaking approach generally make the approvals much smoother, and which is money, and the time is money. And in the long term, of course, you create a place really is more than just a short-term business return. And sustainable design is not only just important for today's environment, but also for commercial mixed development. It is a great way to look at the long-term return, because most mixed development is a commercial development, and whether the developer or investors, they are holding it in a longer term. For the longer term, they have to bear in more operating cost. I mean, generally speaking, operating cost takes about 70% of the lifetime cost. So how the sustainable design really help the investors to relieve from the long-term operating cost by reduce the energy consumption and other green features. And again, as a mixed development design, you have to be consider how to create a business value, not only just for the developer, but also for the city, for the community. It is because each of them will look at it differently. Even though for developers, the ROI is a major factor, but for the city, it's more about how to represent the city in their today's competition stage, and for community, for the consumers, how to be able to create a healthy and fun and safe environment, so they like to come back and back again. So creating a destination and landmark, that combination is always going to be critical for the mixed-use design. So next, I'm going to use 2-3 examples we have been designed in China, and this is one of the some of the latest projects on the design board and either under construction or still in the design board. The Suning Plaza mixed development in Panjin. Panjin is a northeastern city in Liaoning province. It's level like famous as Dalian or Shenyang, but the intriguing thing is this city, they have the highest GDP for per employee because the oil industry. But the city is almost in the middle of nowhere, 2 hours from Dalian, 2 hours from Shenyang. So people have no place to spend their money. So they have to drive to Dalian, to Shenyang to spend. So the city government really want to create some kind of a first-class mixed-use development. So that way, the residents can have all the amenities without drive away from the city. So that's why Suning discussed with the city and decided to going to buy this very valuable land in the center of the city downtown. Again, this is LDI when the Suning engaged with initially they engaged with the local design architect, and that's what the result they come out. And it's a very typical approach in the third-tier city in China, and a lot of residential focus, and the retail is almost like a neighborhood retail. And even the office building on the farther right is very outdated. So you probably imagine how city will be like excited about this scheme. So they just cannot get approval from the city government. So finally they come to us. And when we look at the project, we always look at the urban strategy first. And the site is really divided into three parts. The further down one is really the relocation, because the site is full of existing residents. So we have to, from the per government requirement, we have to relocate the residents to here. And then in the middle, create another newer commercial, newer residential development, and along the premier road of the city, leave for the commercial development. So this is option one. The concept here is really, this is a major city boulevard, and also the major city commercial street, retail street is here. So the whole concept, we try to tie from the residential all the way to the commercial, and with a nice pedestrian link all the way to the city center here. And by creating a first-class indoor shopping center, but also we're able to create a neighborhood retail street. So that kind of tied all this activity together and to the city center. And we intentionally, for this scheme, leave the twin towers along the secondary street, so free the more retail facade, valuable land for the retail. So that's kind of option one initial study. We always, again, come up with several schemes and look at with the client together. This gives you some idea what is the function, the office tower, and a hotel and a service apartment, residential development, and the retail center. At the initial stage, we always doing some basic mathing to really shows that urban scale to the city. The option two is pretty much similar to option one. We always want to make sure collect all the neighborhood together into one strike. And also the differences, we put the twin towers in the corner of this major corner, frame a gateway experience. And of course, the tower here also occupy more retail, premier retail space. That's the disadvantage. So function is fairly similar like we have before. It's totally around 700,000 square meters. That's kind of a basic massing for this important corner. And the third scheme is about create a central garden plaza in the middle of the block. So really break the boundary between the city blocks. And put the twin towers along the major street, which again is contradicting with the retail. And another challenge is you're going to draw more traffic inside of the site, which is not necessarily good. So after all this different practical approach with the client together, so we present to the city, and we come up with this final scheme, which is a combination of the iconic and placemaking. The reason we do that because we end up with a wind tower because the city want a tower taller than it used to be 200 meters. So right now the tower is 260 meters. So that create a more iconic expression opportunity for the city. And also for developer, reduce the pressure for more high-rise building square footages. And again, we preserve the strong pedestrian tie within the several blocks that always remained, and we free all the major commercial street to the retail. So that's kind of the tower become a mixed-use tower with office and a hotel and a service apartment. And of course, this is the top lounge for the hotel. That's kind of a retail relationship. And we, in terms of placemaking, we're able to create more amenities for the client, for the city. For example, we put outdoor ice rinking there, and which is really create energy for draw people come here and be part of the whole placemaking strategy. And we also extend this placemaking strategy all the way up to the roof gardens because Panjin is a northern China, is cold in the winter. So we also create a 4 seasons amenity, which is combined with amusement, entertainment, and food into a nice rooftop amenities there. You can see the food, the theater, and also the hotel amenities in the very nice 4 seasons garden on the rooftop. That's what it looks like in the rooftop. And in terms of iconic, we really tied with the again the local culture and the Panjin is a city just when the Chaohe River meet the ocean, so create a lot of beautiful wetland and also the special Chinese crane. So the tower is clearly inspired by this elegance of the crane, and the base of the podium really very poetically expression of this wetland with the long grass when the waves come out. So that's kind of expression of the overall architectural inspiration. And that inspiration, the wetland, the solid vast open space really integrated with the whole open planning concept from both 2D and 3D. Some of the function. The tower's structures are very simple for 260 meters, pretty mature technology, with a concrete core, and the composite column, the frame, and also outrigger at every 15th floor for the refugee floors. So that's some progress for the design. We have a grand opening, a groundbreak grand opening early this year. Next project is the Xianda Ming mixed-use development. This is again, it's a over 10 million square foot. Again, the LDI, the local architect, that's what the initial design is involved 4 city blocks. They treat each block separately, isolated, and the shopping experience really is a lot about the human experience, and it's more about just fit the program in the site. So when client talk to us, we look at the 4 site as an integrated site, and we come out initial design with the 3 options. The first option, we try to separate the 3 towers as far as possible, so create an even iconic expression from different part of the city, and also create a secondary major boulevard, which is the city major boulevards here. So we want, for the retail, we want to draw people in, so that pedestrian-oriented major boulevard be created between the blocks, really help this block in terms of retail experience. That's kind of an overall messaging for the program. And this is a dedicated auto city because the existing land user is an auto dealer, so we need to create an auto city for the existing land. So the four city blocks here. The option 2, the option 2, we're really able to try to put the twin towers in the corner of the major street, create a gateway experience. And we also create I guess the laser doesn't work. The central plaza here, really tied each block together, and also create connections, both in the basement and also in the 2nd floor. So tied all these blocks together. For the consumers, it's become one continuous experience. And that's part of the placemaking, how we're able to make the convenient space for the users. So that's kind of central plaza, which is a multi-level connections. And also for the business point of view, help the developers able to lease each site. And the twin towers is a twist towers from the bottom to the top is a 45-degree. So it's a very subtle, less than 1 degree twist each floor. So easy to make structure continuously twist along the building. And the connections here you can see clearly and tied together in the center, create a central energy here, tied to 4 blocks. So the final scheme, you can see that the plaza lot become a city center, energy center, but also a very useful retail value space for the developer. A lot of green, sustainable approach in this mixed development, and even Auto City really try to take advantage of the major corner there. Really also inspired by the dynamic automobile. So create an architectural form represent the future Auto City development, and even the exhibition along the major corner, put the ramp there, so put the cars just along the ramp there, so really make the show space all the way outside, so outside to the pedestrian people. Parking lot is another approach, a sustainable approach of parking lot, because parking lot is just facing the major freeway here, and traditionally just a very simple block. So we try to turn the challenge into an opportunity. So we make almost like a park setting, parking garage experience there, connect directly to the retail in upper blocks. And again, that 3D connection with all these commercial activities make it a much nicer destination for the users. The tower at the evening show. Last case study is about Wuxi. Wuxi is just 40 minutes from Shanghai. It's a very rich city. The twin tower we developed here is 260 meters. And it's going to be urban mixed-use development with a 6-floor retail base and also a residential tower and office tower, and in a very tight blocks. And you can see that we strategically put a tower way in the corner here, so that way, and create a plaza there to connect to the future subway down there, and create a vast roof garden there because of limited land here. So that roof garden becomes the amenity for the residence amenities, the clubs and the swimming pool, health, gym, all these amenities on the roof garden. The retail, again, we intentionally tied the retail with the 3 entrance legs to the city, other retail neighborhood from the south to the northwest and the pure north, all tied together as a one complex retail experience. And a major plaza at the corner here, directly connect to the basement, B1 level for the retail and also to the subway. Again, create convenience for the users. The base for the retail, the entry for the service apartment and also office lobby next to it. I want to talk a little bit about the retail strategy. And the tower is, again, it's a luxury service apartment. Each floor is only about 5 units. This is a hotel floor. I'm talking about, this is the service apartment floor. It's again, it's a luxury and service apartment. Each tower is about 260 meters tall. The retail and how we make sure, this is the major CBD area, how we make sure create another retail strategy, the placemaking for this city, because there's quite a few high-end, big retail centers like Hainan Center and also the couple of Japanese stores there. So we try to tie this retail with a special consumer group, which is the younger generation. So the stores is much more smaller, more high-end local brand. So we create this called a different street, try to introduce the outdoor market street concept into the indoor experience. And So that really fit very well with the smaller boutique shop experience, and whether it's from the Western outdoor experience to the traditional Chinese indoor outdoor experience, it's all integrated into this shopping experience here. That's the grand opening last year, and the project is under construction now. It's about 4th floor above ground. So that's overall my several case study about how we address the iconic and also the placemaking for the new mixed development in China. And we believe if we can able to grab these two parts of the mixed, we'll probably have a high chance to succeed in the mixed development in China today. Thank you.